tell you that. I mean, hopefully if we play them again in the Super Bowl, they can score more than 3 points because everybody was all upset it was a boring Super Bowl. I wasn't upset because it was a Super Bowl victory.
All right, anything else to add?
No, that's it. That was Super Bowl 6. On to number 6.
Yeah, okay. Thus taking us into our top 5.
I was trying to segue because I have 6 in my top 5.
Oh, okay. I don't know. So we went with the top 5 worst free agent signings of all time. So I went entirely football with it because I didn't specify.
Yeah, he
And I was sitting here writing it, thinking, should I do all sports or should I just do football? And I thought just because we were doing football this entire podcast, I would make the list football. You went all sports, which is totally fine.
I went all sports, but there were so many that I had to extend my list. So my top 5 is actually a top 6.
What's your 6th then?
My number 6 is a tie. It's Reggie Wayne, Chad Ochocinco, Torrey Holt, Eric Decker, Donald Hayes, and John Lynch.
Reggie Wayne, was on that?
Reggie Wayne, yeah. Reggie Wayne. All these guys are free agent signings, and they were all failures. They all came to New England and failed. These are guys, Hall of Fame guys. Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Ochocinco, John Lynch. We talked about him earlier.
There's a common theme among most of the players, a common position. And that common position runs in my top 5 as well.
Yeah. 5 of those 6 guys were wide receivers.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 of mine.
But all these guys, they came to New England, awesome players. At the very least, excellent, top-notch, top 10 in the league.
Can't mount plays.
Can't cut it in New England. They get the chance to play with one of the greatest coaches to ever coach anything ever in the history of coaching, and they fail. Miserable failures. And some of these guys are lucky that Belichick didn't trade them to a shit team. He let them retire with dignity. Reggie Wayne.
They all retired? Did they all retire?
I think Donald Hayes went somewhere else.
That's
and
crazy.
Ocho, we don't know. Like Ocho, we don't know what he's doing. But that was my 6.
That to me is like, it's just banana land.
It was a tie.
None of these guys can hang
Right?
in the Patriots
Isn't it
locker
sad?
room. Like Super Bowl, playoffs. Super Bowl. Decker was all right. Lynch won with Tampa.
Donald Hayes was on a really good Carolina team. I don't know. But yeah, just couldn't do it. Oh well, you know.
Man, dude. Something about Belichick's locker room. You got to be made of something special, I guess, in order to make it.
Yeah.
Cordell Patterson can do it, but Reggie Wayne can't.
Yeah, Cordero. Yeah, exactly. Corey Dillon, though. Remember when we got Corey Dillon?
Yeah, he did okay.
Yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls.
He did okay. All right, I'll jump to me. My 5 is Javon Walker. So
I'm looking at the
I put him
stats
on
here.
because this was close to my heart because he played with the Broncos. So he had 4 good seasons with the Green Bay Packers, and I wrote the stats down. In the 4 years, 157 catches, 2,400 yards, and 22 touchdowns in the 4 years. And I was stoked about this. I remember being fucking stoked. We signed him to like a 2-year deal. And in Denver, in the 2 years, he had 95 catches, 1,300 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Okay, I like the catches and yards, 8 touchdowns, a little bit to be desired, but not horrible. Then he signed a $55 million, 6-year, $55 million deal with the Oakland Raiders. It's the AFC West movement, man. I'm telling you.
Oakland Raiders.
It's the AFC West movement. 32 catches, 196 yards, and 1 touchdown. And he played 11 total games for the Oakland Raiders.
In 6 years? Over a 6-year
Maybe it
deal?
was 2 years, and then he was cut.
Yeah. Terrible.
So that's my number
That's a
5.
bad deal.
I liked him in Denver. Like I said, I wanted the touchdowns to be a little bit more. He was a big play guy for Brett Favre. I mean, Favre would just throw it up to him. He did okay in Denver. I liked him.
Did he win titles with you?
What?
Did he win titles with you? Okay.
So it was like mid to late 2000s.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry,
No, he did not play with Peyton Manning. He played with Jake Plummer.
once you get to be my age, like, players that, if it's more than 10 years ago, it kind of just all
He
kind of
played
runs
with Jake
together.
Plummer and he played with Orton and
Okay,
Cutler.
all right.
Really good. Well,
Okay.
No. I think he played with Cutler and he played with Orton. That's who I think he played with. Jake Plummer was gone after like 06 or something like that, I think.
No idea.
But it was just funny to see
After 10 years.
another receiver go to the Raiders and fail, like Randy Moss and like all the speed guys. Remember Darius Hayward Bay?
Yes.
Yeah, he sucked.
Where's he now? Is he Cleveland?
I don't know where he is.
Okay, my 5. Are we good? My 5 actually is not a football player.
It's okay.
It's a baseball player. His name's Carl Crawford. And
What's
Boston.
Carl Crawford doing now?
Yeah, exactly. What is Carl Crawford doing? 2011, he signed a 7-year, $142 million deal with the Red Sox. $20.2 million average annual value. He played 161 games for the Red Sox, hit 13 home runs, 72 runs batted in, 23 steals, and hit for a whopping 260.
Did you look up his Rays stats?
I don't need to. They were a lot better than those. He hit a walk-off home run on opening day of 2003. Anyways, like, funny story about Carl Crawford. Like, he was one of those signings, him and Adrian Gonzalez. Like, when I first met Pete, I was all excited about the Red Sox winning the World Series that year. I said to him, actually, like, one of the first things I said to Pete ever when I first met this guy was, we're going to go 162 and 0.
You sat down at the bar, and I'm pretty sure the first words out of my mouth were, "How does it feel to buy the World Series?"
Yeah, we pretty much did, except for the fact that Crawford and everybody else on that team sucked. We should have gone 162 and 0.
We went 0-6.
And we started off 0-6, which is a fun other story, maybe another
Yeah,
day.
and you got chanted at by Yankees fans. It was awesome.
It was awesome. One of the greatest days of my life.
No, horrible signing. So I didn't even know what the money was. Good God, it's ridiculous.
142 million.
Yeah, but if any team can afford it, it's the Red Sox.
It's true. It is true.
They have the second highest payroll. They've had the second highest payroll for the last, 25 fucking years.
Yeah, you may have been accurate in saying we bought a World Series this year. Or 2018.
JD, yeah. Well, I mean, your
JD,
entire outfield
Campbell.
is kind of homegrown with Benintendi, Mookie, and David.
Yeah,
Jones.
yeah.
It's homegrown.
Devers, Bogarts,
Homegrown there.
Pedroia are all homegrown. You know, we just spend all that
The
money
staff's
on.
not. I mean, Porcello, Price.
Yeah, Price, Sale,
And
Porcello, Kimbrel. Those are all.
Was it Koji homegrown?
No. Koji's Japanese.
What about what's the kid's name? I can't remember his name.
Ryan Dempster.
Huh?
Ryan Dempster.
Dempsey? No.
John Lester.
60. Matt Barnes.
Matt Barnes is homegrown.
Yeah, but I think
60.
a lot of your position players.
32?
I don't know what Matt Barnes is.
Oh, okay.
I said 60. No, I said Matt Barnes.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as a bot championship as much as 2011 would have been.
Okay, gotcha.
Who the fuck even won in 2011? Well, we did.
I was gonna say, dude, look at your hat. I know that's a Redbirds hat, but
Well, we did.
it's gonna be the salsa, folks. It's gonna be the salsa. All right.
Also, the stress of my school closing
My four,
raining down upon me.
my 4, your 4.
You did your 5, I'll go 4.
Okay.
This one was another. I just think because it was another Oakland signing and another waste of money. I just
Love
love to
it.
see the Raiders do it. So my 4 is Larry Brown. He signed a 5-year, $12 million deal, which is a lot of money in 1996.
Yeah, that's the guy from the
So
Super
he
Bowl.
had 3 picks in Super Bowl 30.
That's what everybody knows him for.
And
That's
he
the only
basically
thing
made an
people know
entire
about.
contract out of, that's the only thing, he picked off Neil O'Donnell, who was also another horrible free agent signing for the Jets.
With the Jets, yeah.
And then made a shitload of money off of it. So he actually, I looked at the stats for the Cowboys, not bad. He had like 12 picks in his career for the Cowboys. He played 12 games for the Raiders. He had 1 pick and 26 tackles.
That's not
And
good.
he played 2 seasons with the Raiders.
26 tackles in 2 years.
I think he was hurt a lot.
That's still kind of crappy.
It's a garbage contract. And yeah, it's just nice to see the Raiders make stupid decisions. That's what they do.
Yeah, it is. Although my 4 is a guy. Our loyal Knights listeners will know this guy, Vadim Shipachyov. Although many a Knight fan will not know who he is,
No.
even though he was the 3rd Knight ever. Vadim Shipachyov was a Russian guy.
Is this a free agent signing?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, we had him before we even had an expansion draft.
Nice.
It was Reed Duke, somebody else, Vadim Shipachyov. He signed with us coming out of Russia. 1 game. No, I'm sorry. 3 games played, 1 goal. And just because of the way the contracts and the rosters work, coming out of training camp during the inaugural Knights season, he was assigned to Chicago. He didn't have to report, but he was assigned there just to ensure, everything was popping up with the numbers, people here, people there. And because he was new to the NHL, he was a guy that we could assign to Chicago instead of like a Lindbergh or Spiza or something like that. But Shipachyov had some issues and didn't like being assigned to Chicago. And it started off this whole to-do. He ended up playing 3 games and then was sent. This wasn't just a assignment. He was actually sent down to Chicago, refused. We bought out his contract and sent him on his way
Reading
to.
my text.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means either. Probably had to reference previous text to see what she meant.
but
That's a different rate. That's not
yeah,
very
yeah, because I said it was R80. Anyways, so Shipachyov, we bought him out and sent him back to Russia, where he played for St. Petersburg. And hilariously enough, back in the KHL, halfway through that season, they sent him to the minor leagues too. So, fuck you, Vadim Shipachyov. That's my 4th.
That's your 4?
Yes.
Alright. No, that's funny. I was in California not being able to watch the Knights that much, so I didn't see that whole fiasco.
Oh, I used to. In fact, I kid you not, they sell the player tees over at the Arsenal across the way there? They had a shit ton of Shipachyov shirts. Oh, that's some
That is
alliteration
a
for
tongue
you.
twister. That's a Dr. Seuss.
Say
right
that 12 times
there. Shit ton of
fast.
Shipachyov shirt.
They
Sally
actually
sells
spelled
seashells.
his name wrong.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was spelled like SHIPACHEV or something. It's actually spelled Ship, SHIPACHYOV. Like Shipachyov.
Yeah, that's how I would have sounded it out.
Yeah.
That's how I would have sounded it out to spell it. Yeah, yeah.
But
Now we have Valentin Zagoff,
Valentine's like,
who hasn't seen the ice in like a month.
yeah, but at least he's not a big old baby.
He could be.
We won't ship
Alright,
him
I
off.
did 3. I'm on my 3.
You're on your
My 3 is David Boston.
Boston.
So he had a pretty good Arizona
He
career.
did have a pretty decent.
He was a good
Arizona
receiver,
career.
big play receiver. He did have a little bit of problem with the law. He had a couple DUIs,
But everybody gets DUIs in
cocaine
Arizona.
issues.
Oh.
Basically, in Arizona, he had 241 catches for 3,700 yards and 18 touchdowns. So that's not bad, especially
bad.
for the Cardinals in the mid to early. It was the late 2000s, early 2000s. I remember watching David Boston play a little bit. He must have been
Oh yeah, he was good.
opposite Anquan Bolden for a little bit.
He was a deep threat. Who was throwing him the ball?
He was good. He made big plays.
Was it Plummer throwing him the ball?
Plummer and was that? Why do I feel like it was? What's his name?
Dave McCown, Josh McCown.
Josh McCown.
Could have been.
So he plays well and he gets his big payday, right? He goes to San Diego in a free agency deal in 01. 7 years, $47 million for a wide receiver. Now, you'll notice the theme of all my bad free agency signings. They all seem to be going to other AFC West teams.
That's funny.
Except for that one and that one. But that one's close to my heart.
Mine are all 5 of mine, or 6 of mine are close to my heart.
So he had 70 catches for 880 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, that's not horrible. It's not horrible. That's 2 years.
Tampa for $47 million.
with San Diego. So that would have been Drew Brees throwing him the ball, too.
Yeah, he should do better than that. Well, now Drew Brees, he would do better than that.
So basically, second year, you got a couple DUIs. You got busted for cocaine possession and use. He was suspended by the league. I believe he had
Oh, I do
He
remember.
also got suspended for steroids for the first 4 games of his second year, and he had a knee injuries. So what happened was in the second year, San Diego traded him to Miami. And in Miami, he was suspended again for drug abuse, hurt his knee again, and then Tampa signed him, didn't play it down for Tampa, and then went to the CFL. And I didn't look up the CFL stats, but
Because they're not normal. They're not.
just think if he would have stayed in
Yeah.
Arizona, though, like maybe that was
That was the key, yeah.
his hot spot. All these guys, Javon Walker maybe should have stayed in Green Bay. Larry Brown definitely should have stayed in Dallas. David Boston, he probably should have stayed in Arizona.
These guys go searching for money, and
So I don't know how
Changes
much
you.
of the $47 million he got. I didn't see what the guarantee was. Probably like $10 million guaranteed or something. This was still 2000, so it wasn't the big guaranteed money yet.
wasn't the same NFL we live in now.
No, because if he signed a, well, A, he's never gonna. That's a deal nowadays. 7 years, $47 million.
Yeah, it is.
I guarantee you, if you sign that, that entire contract would be guaranteed now. No matter what. All the DUIs and all the
Yeah.
coke that you snort and all the steroids you take and all the knee injuries that you get. But it just sucks because I remember watching him and I remember thinking, yeah, this cat, he's good. He's good. He can get deep balls. He's a good big play wide receiver.
But that's the thing, in the NFL, those
Like a
guys
poor
don't
man's
last
Randy.
long.
He's a poor man's Randy Moss. Is what he was. A poor man's Randy Moss. But he was good. He was like the reason you would watch Arizona in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know why the fuck else you'd watch him.
put in his name.
Yeah, that's my 3. David
All
Boston.
right, my 3. Another guy named Carl Pavano, who in 2005 signed with the Yankees. He was the big free agent prize of that year. Everybody wanted Carl Pavano,
I remember that.
and I'm glad he went to the Yankees. 4 years, $40 million, which nowadays doesn't seem that much.
That's chunk change.
In 05, it was a decent amount for a starting pitcher. $10 million average annual value. In those 4 years, he went 9-8, 26 games started, 5.00 ERA, and 75 strikeouts. But the best part for Carl Pavano is he actually spent time on the list formerly known as the disabled list. It's now known as the injured list. Spent time on the disabled list for a bruised buttock.
So he had a pain in the ass?
So he had a pain in the ass. He literally was on the DL because he was butthurt. That's all I got. I mean, Carl Pavano, worst signing ever. $40 million is nothing to the Yankees. They could eat that up.
5 ERA though. That's bad.
Yeah, he was not good.
And this is old Yankee Stadium. This ain't new Yankee Stadium where you hit a pop fly to right field and it's gone.
Yes. And Carl Pavano, interesting fact, he was the guy the Red Sox traded to Montreal for Pedro Martinez.
Well, there you go. Maybe the greatest free agent signing in Red Sox history.
So yeah, when you look at it, we traded him, we got Pedro, and then we got 4 years of him sucking for the Yankees.
That's a win-win.
That's pretty awesome.
That's a win-win, and you won a World Series in that time, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's why the Yankees, this was 05, so Yankees were pissed off about us winning in 04. Curse is broken, so they're out there spending a shit ton of money, and it didn't work out for them.
They always spend a shit ton of money, though. They
Good.
always spend it. No, that's funny. I love that. He's butthurt. He's on the DL because he's butthurt.
Yeah.
All right. So my 2 also played in Super Bowl 30. And then
He was
went
a
on
good
and
one.
signed another huge deal.
I did
liked
think
this
about
kid
this
too.
guy.
I remember watching the mid-90s Cowboys. I was a big Alvin Harper fan. I liked watching him play.
'Cause he was the other guy.
He was great with the Cowboys. He's the number 2.
He was the not Michael Irvin.
He was the non-Michael Irvin. So he signed a 4-year, $2.5 million contract with... No, sorry, 4 years at $2.5 million. So $10 million.
$10 million.
And this is 1996.
That's a lot of money
So,
back then. That's huge.
You know, Jerry Jones is
For
selling
you
out.
millennials listening, that's a lot of money.
In 1996 it was. Jerry Jones selling it out. So in Dallas, I think it was 7 years he was there. No, over 4 years or something. Because it doesn't equal. 124 catches, 2,500 yards, and 18 touchdowns. And that's opposite Michael Irvin, who got the ball
Yeah.
constantly.
And Jay Novacek.
And also,
And Emmitt Smith
Emmitt
breaking
Smith
touchdown
getting-
records.
getting
and
the
Moose Johnson.
San
He
Antonio
was
Commanders.
like
you know.
the odd man out
But
on
he was
that
still
team.
good.
Yes.
Like if I was a Cowboys fan, I would have definitely had an Alvin Harper jersey at the time. Because I was a Broncos fan and I liked Alvin Harper. So he signed in Tampa Bay. And in 2 years there, he had 65 catches for 992 yards and 3 total touchdowns. Proving he needed to be a number 2 receiver. He needed Michael Irvin. Because when he comes to Tampa, they don't have anybody else. He's going to get double covered. He's getting the double coverage. They're rolling the coverage over the top. I don't know who the fuck their quarterback was. Doug Williams, Steve Young.
Trent Dilfer.
Was it Dilfer in the late 90s?
Dilfer, yeah.
They didn't have work done yet. No Mike Allstott yet. No Derek Thomas.
It
No
was
Warren Sapp.
when they had started
I
to
think
become
he was
good.
the one. He's in that.
I think they have Warren Sapp.
No, they sucked, and that's how they got all the good draft picks to get Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp
Work done.
and
Yeah.
work done and Mike Allstott and
I think he was Harper was on the team when Eric Brett was on the team.
who?
Eric Brett was on the team.
Maybe. He definitely wasn't on the Super Bowl team.
No. Keyshawn was on. Was Keyshawn on the Super Bowl
Keyshawn
team?
was, and so was Keenan McCardell.
Yes.
Anyway, it
Yeah.
just proves that some guys are better being a number 2 receiver. Some guys don't have it in them to be the number 1. I thought Alvin Harper had the talent to be the number 1 wide receiver, but proved me wrong. It sucks because I really liked Alvin Harper too, but I initially, and you can see it crossed out, Rob Johnson was going to be my number 2, but I realized that was a trade and not a free agent signing, so I couldn't go with it.
Hang on.
You know, that was the worst acquisition, I think, in NFL history, was acquiring Rob Johnson. But Alvin Harper is in my number 2 spot.
My 2 is a local guy. His name's DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, he is a Vegas local.
And this was not.
He's probably back in the city now.
It could be. This wasn't for really DeMarco. 5 years, $40 million, $8 million average annual value for Philadelphia a couple years ago. He only got $9 million out of that $40 million. And this wasn't his fault. This was Chip Kelly. And why Chip Kelly wanted a guy like DeMarco Murray for his offense is just beyond me, and it'll still puzzle NFL guys forever. Because Murray wasn't bad. He didn't all of a sudden lose everything going to Philadelphia.
It wasn't like he was old.
It was an offense that was not designed to allow him to be successful. Philadelphia's Chip Kelly's offense,
That was like shotgun spread, pistol,
yeah,
fly sweeps, and zone reads.
and fast paced. You don't run the ball that much in Chip Kelly's offense, and he just never fit in there. And I believe they traded him to Tennessee. They may have
And he
cut
did
him. I
well
don't
in
know.
Tennessee.
Yeah, well, him and Derrick Henry formed for a couple of years a nice 1-2 little punch there, but ultimately, to me, that was a bad deal all around. Now, DeMarco should have known better, but if Philadelphia is going out there saying, "Hey, we want you," you would think, "Put me in this offense." What comes to mind? Just now came to my mind. Adrian Peterson when he signed with New Orleans. Same type of situation where these guys took this money, went to these deals, went to these teams, and they were not.
He went New Orleans
part
and
of
then
these teams.
Arizona, right? And then he's in Washington.
Yeah,
And today he signed a 2-year extension
with the
with
Skins.
his Redskins. Yeah. Case Keenum will be handing Adrian Peterson the ball. Yeah, that's odd to me because I felt like, a shitty signing for Philadelphia, but then he went to Tennessee
Yeah,
and had an okay finish to the career. And he was a Vegas local, and he crushed it in Dallas. So, Bishop Gorman?
Bishop Gorman.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to
All
my
right,
number one.
your
And this
number
was-
one.
This was easy for me. This first name that popped into my head when I thought horrible free agent signings.
I thought about him too. I didn't want to put him on.
This
my
was
list.
another one that kind of close to my heart.
Yeah, Coors Light. Thank you.
Close to my heart because the head coach at the time won 2 Super Bowls with my franchise before. So it's Albert Hainsworth signing a 7-year, $100 million deal with the Redskins. Now, I could have probably done a top 5 worst Redskins signings of all times because boy, they have some doozies.
You could probably do a top 5 worst Albert Hainsworth signings of all time.
Tennessee, and then Tennessee was productive because I wrote down his Tennessee sacks.
He was with
In
us for a
6
little
years
bit.
there, 24 sacks, 60 tackles for loss. He was disruptive. 2 years in Washington, he had 6.5 sacks and 12 tackles for losses.
That's pretty bad.
Plus the infamous, whole off-season shit where Mike Shanahan was making him run the sprints because he didn't fit the conditioning drills. He couldn't do it in the amount of time, so he wasn't passing his physicals. So Mike Shanahan would literally not let him practice with the team. Mike Shanahan hated him. Mike Shanahan did not like him. Mike Shanahan never wanted him. Dan Snyder said, no, fuck you, we're signing this guy. And Mike Shanahan was like, oh, why do you keep making these decisions that I hate? When a couple of years later, Dan Snyder would make another decision that Mike Shanahan hated when he wanted to draft RG3.
Yes.
Because Mike Shanahan was good going forward with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback.
No, not like.
And now one of those guys is starting in the NFL, and one of those is backing up the Cleveland Browns or Baltimore Ravens.
He's in Baltimore, yeah.
Baltimore Ravens. Sorry,
But this was like,
we have to edit that out.
this was the most ridiculous signing. When they initially signed him, everyone's like, holy shit, $100 million for a fucking defensive tackle. Like, what are you thinking, Dan Snyder? And any Redskins fan I've ever met hates Dan Snyder. They wish he'd sell the team. And I don't know. I blame Mike Shanahan as much as I blame Dan Snyder and Hainsworth, but Ninja got paid. And
It's
and
cool that
it's
you
like,
still have that allegiance to Bill. I'm sorry, to
Mike Shanahan? I love Mike Shanahan. I heard he's a dick.
Even when he was with the Harlots.
I heard he's a big asshole. I really did, but I don't care. He won us 2 fucking Super Bowls. So
He did win 2 Super Bowls. All right.
it's garbage.
So-
Garbage contract.
So time for my number one.
But then he went to the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
That's
It's,
right.
it's horrible.
He probably fought Belichick.
He's an idiot. And then I think he went to Tampa after that. Anyways, my number one. Well, we started off talking about OBJ, and my number one, we're going to finish talking about LBJ. LeBron James, the worst free agent signing ever.
To the
LeBron
Lakers?
James to the Los Angeles Lakers.
All right, I'll give you that.
Now, okay, you're thinking, Matt, you just hate LeBron. But look, why did LeBron go to the Lakers? To bring a once proud franchise back to glory.
They were not in glory for like 2-3 years, though. That's the thing.
Well, they have no glory, and LeBron has only made it worse. He has made the Lakers a laughingstock. Here's a man who has taken teams to the conference finals for 7 consecutive years. And now, when LeBron joins the Lakers won't even make the playoffs. They're that bad. They're 11th in the West right now. 4 years, $150 million for this schmuck, for this glazed pizza making piece of crap. And you know what? I can talk about pizza because I was quoted in the Wall Street Journal talking about pizza. And the Wall Street Journal knows stuff. So if they want to quote me on pizza, they're a authority. Anyways, LeBron James, we've talked about this before. What LeBron James does, or what he's supposed to do, is
He's the worst.
make those others around him better.
He's a spotlight stealer.
He
He's
was
a prima donna.
He was brought to LA to teach these young kids, the Brandon Ingrams, the Kuzmas, the Lonzos of the world, teach these kids how to win basketball games, and all he's done is teach them how to become
what did you try
prima
to do?
donna assholes.
What did he try to do with him? Try to trade them all away.
Yeah,
for
he wanted to
Anthony
get
Davis.
rid of them all for Anthony Davis. Well, LeBron, you're a giant loser. The Lakers are giant losers. And you are now the worst free agent signing in history. I'm glad
Might
your
be.
streak of 7 consecutive finals is over because you suck. That's all I have. Go Knights go.
We'll end it on that.
I gotta throw that in there.